Hello everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. I'm Denise if you're new. So this is your weekly astrological transits. We're going to be going from, I'll take you through Sunday, April 23rd through Saturday the 29th. And the moon will be moving through the signs of Gemini, then Cancer, and then into Leo. It's going to hook up with Venus and Mars along the way, and some other aspects. So I'll go over everything once I swap out cameras here and bring you over my table. So I hope you're doing well. Big hugs before we even get started. And let me swap out cameras. I'll be right back. Okay, so this looks like a fantastic week, especially after coming off of the new moon solar eclipse. And yeah, Mercury's, went retrograde, or is going. I'm doing this video on Thursday afternoon. You'll probably get to it Friday morning, maybe. My members get it earlier. Oops. And ad-free as well at the family level. So depends on when you are getting to this video. If it's Friday morning, it'll be, because I release it at midnight, Mercury will have already stationed retrograde. So that's, coming into effect over the weekend. But we're starting with Sunday on the 23rd. So Mercury goes retrograde the 21st, Friday, 1:35 a.m. Pacific time. And so we've had a couple of days of this wonderful, sun moved into Taurus. The sun moved, the ingress of the sun into Taurus was really wonderful. I think it's going to be much better. It's going to help us calm down. It's going to help shine a spotlight on the past where changes need to be made either in our personal lives and what we're seeing out in the public. We should start seeing more justice, even though, oh my goodness, still, every day there's some type of a mass shooting, and it's just breaking my heart. And I won't talk too much about that other than just to say that, you're doing stuff around the house and listening to the news here and there. I tuned in to the Taurus-Scorpio polarity in a new way, as looking at I remember what I was listening to. What's her name? Kristi Noem, who was speaking at her and Pence and X45 spoke at the annual NRA convention, and it was swarming with maggots and their poor little kids being exposed to guns and pointing guns at reporters. And they were not loaded, but still, that first rule is you never point a gun at a person, right? That's the first thing the NRA is supposed to teach you. Back in the days when it, was all about that. But anyway, so Kristi Noem's talking. She's a Republican from South Dakota. And she says she has a 2-year-old granddaughter. And now I know she was saying that, I don't know, but I think she was trying to say she had this already saved for her. But she says, my 2-year-old granddaughter, I can't remember what her name was, granddaughter, was it Nady or I don't know, she says that she already has a shotgun and a rifle because I know she's going to need it. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Wait a minute. Maybe she needed clarity about how she spoke about that. Or maybe she's just knucking futs, right? That's possible. But that's a perfect example of Mercury getting ready to station retrograde, and it's in Taurus. But it made me clue in as to this whole dynamic of owning Taurus, firearms, Scorpio. And then Saturn in Pisces, which is, this lesson to set up some strong boundaries, strong rules to protect the innocent, to protect the vulnerable, to protect children. But then also the victimization, that can come through. So anyway, most importantly here is with this chart, I have highlighted what aspects we'll be having all week, except for these two right here in the yellow. These will just go through till about Thursday. And then Mercury, Uranus, will be over here to Mars through Wednesday. So I'll speak about all of this, but just remember the big backdrop picture is Pluto, which has to do with how we manage our power, what we give our power to. We should be working towards freeing our souls in the best way possible with this next 20-year transit. Even though, Pluto's not going to be firmly into Aquarius to stay. In fact, it's going to go retrograde pretty soon. Yeah. And back into Capricorn. So, but the next 20 years, we've never lived, us as human beings. Of course, we've had who knows how many hundreds or thousands, probably more like thousands upon thousands of lifetimes prior to. We may have some vague or unconscious, hidden, but in the wise unconscious type of terms. It might be that we've had many incarnations with Pluto moving through the sign of Aquarius. But we haven't in this lifetime to where our cognitive abilities would say, oh yeah, I know what that's like. Like we all know, we've all gone through Saturn moving through the houses, and all of the other personal planets, of course. But when it comes to Pluto, this brings things up that our souls needed to experience. We signed up basically for this experience to unfold for us. And so we're here to take a stand. We're here to free our souls. We're here to get on our life path. We're here to settle into and relish in our humanity, in our bodies, and do our best to think in ways, use our high-level reasoning abilities, which leads to that. So this would be all, air signs. If you have a really good working reasoning function in your brain, you eventually get to serenity. You eventually get to wisdom, because you question things from so many different angles until you get to the truth. And of course, there's transpersonal truth, and then there's personal truth. Like we all have had our personal life experiences, and whatever we experience would be true for us, and we need to honor those feelings and those experiences and those emotions that we went through. But when it comes to the transpersonal, we're talking just the laws of love that are just there. They're there for us, no matter what. It can seem the most chaotic experience in your life, and you might even think or believe falsely that life is chaos. Life is change, so it seems chaotic, but there is a divine order in place. And so you have to trust that you came in to experience what's going on. And now that doesn't mean you have to experience things in your personal life, especially when you do the deeper work. What happens is that you don't need to have it come to you from the outside, because you've already unraveled whatever life force was caught up in trauma from past lives. So when you do all that deeper work, then what comes through is you might be witnessing something that has a little deja vu experience. Oh, yeah, I'm getting chills around this, so this is a good message then. Many of you may be having deja vu experiences as to, what's the deeper, yeah. Most of you, now I know I have many viewers in other countries, but for most of us in the USA, we probably have had at least a few lifetimes or at least one, right? Probably several, but definitely at least one prior to this one, where we either came from Nazi Germany and were oppressed, didn't make it out alive, or did make it out alive and some family members made it out alive, and if it weren't for them we wouldn't be here, that type of a thing. So there's something in our lineage and our ancestral patterns that we brought in to heal. And so we maybe would be, most of us, in the Pluto and Leo generation, where we came through realizing that love is the only thing that really matters, that everything else is, love for each other and the heartfelt connection that we have for each other is the most important thing. But then we've also experienced the opposite polarity, where people were cut off from their heart and very narcissistic and born psychopaths, right? Like probably Hitler, probably Trump, probably, some of these other people that don't care about anything other than their money and their power. So power dynamics between Leo and Aquarius will happen. Like I said, the best way I try to handle it is just to stay in my heart and send love. But it's painful, especially when you have people like someone like Kristi Noem or Trump or Pence speaking at this NRA convention, and they've brought children, and they're not only making it okay for children to be around guns, they're actually embracing how to operate firearms. So this is definitely that Taurus-Scorpio polarity. And not only that, the square, this T-square that Pluto's in to the south nodes of the past. So again, past lives and the transformative powers that are available to us to move through, and then to these squares over here to not only Eris, which is our feminine maternal courage, and the sun is shining a spotlight on the past. And if we want the past to continue to repeat itself, then just sit back and don't do anything. But I think we're building a tremendous amount of steam. Now, the square will be gone on December 7th of this year. But I'm thinking that we will continue to remember the reason we've all gone through this is because we are witnessing people who misused their power in the past, where we will be witnessing much more spotlight on them. And I believe justice will prevail. But we're still going to have to vote like our lives and everyone that we love, everyone's lives depend on safety. Without safety and security, we cannot build a better future. You have to have safety. And again, that's, of course, what Taurus is all about, safety and self-preservation. So the spotlight is shining. And we have 4 squares today. 3 will last for all week long, actually beyond. So the only thing that's missing that to last all week will be, I think it's going to be Mercury. I forget. I might not have drawn I might not have colored the right lines in, or highlighted, the right lines. But anyway, just suffice to say that there's a trend where we're moving towards hooking up with our divine mind, hooking up with ways to keep us safe and create more abundance. Tons and tons of ideas will probably be coming through because that's what Uranus is all about, is bringing in ideas. New inventions for more safety and security and abundance will probably be coming through. And, Uranus rules technology as well. So hopefully there'll be more security around that. Now, of course, these Pentagon links or leaks, that with that guy Jack, what's his name, Teixeira, and what's her name, Sarah Bills. I mean, everything comes out. The truth always eventually comes out. And nowadays, because of all the years that we've had the internet, nothing can hide anymore. But they're finding more ways to create. Well, basically, it feels to me like they're patching holes where security leaks could get out, or where how things could be taken and put on a site like Discord. So anyway, that's all here in the backdrop, especially with Pluto in Aquarius, which is Aquarius, of course, is ruled by Uranus. And so all the way through to December 7th, I'm not going to pay attention to the sesquisquare here. It's just a little bit of stubbornness, but unless it's in a natal chart, I don't tend to pay any attention to it anymore. But we might have people digging into their ideas about the way they think things are supposed to be, but, we can just let it go. But this aspect of the architect here, remember I told you last week I'd figure out how long it lasts? Well, it goes all the way through. So, okay, from the south node of the past, where we can create a lot of regeneration in our life, where we can start trusting ourselves and our spidey senses and our psychic abilities even more, where we can work through patterns of fear of betrayal and the need for crisis. It's not a real need, of course. It's more of it's just a form of negative pleasure. The place where a person's, here, Marjorie Taylor Greene's a perfect example. She has a lot of life force attached to drama. And that's actually negative, right? But she wouldn't know it because it's probably what was comfortable for her, like deja vu, kind of familiar. The way one of my clients put it, he said, yeah, it feels familiar. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I say the words negative pleasure, because your life force is, in its core, in its pure form, absolute 100% positive pleasure. And so we're all these little pleasure beings moving around, and when we're little, the only way we can survive is if we attach our life force to our at least one caretaker. And along the way, if that caretaker isn't in bliss and in love with you, or in at least a pretty good amount of positive pleasure throughout the day, like love and nature and nurturing and caring and fun and play and listening to you and things like that, right? Responding to your real needs. To the degree that we don't have that, we still attach, because if we don't attach, we will not survive. So we go through life not realizing that there are places within our psyche that's actually attached to something, right? It's like a negative attachment. Like maybe you're detached, maybe you're in withdrawal, maybe you had a very judgmental parent, so you would cringe and hide, and or maybe you had a parent who was narcissistic. Maybe you had to submit. Maybe you had a parent who was very manipulative over the other parent. Maybe there was dependence and codependence. Maybe there was masochism. Maybe there was workaholism, right? Maybe there was just a lot of compulsions and demands, misuse of power. So when that happens, that becomes magnetized, that energy, that vibration, that consciousness, even if no one is ever saying anything, that elephant in the room will become magnetized into your soul substance, and then you'll attract it through life until you work it through for yourself. But we choose these parents so that we can work through our false beliefs and learn to create healthy, strong boundaries. So for all of you energy workers, light workers, lovers out there, lovers of humanity, people who want the best for each other, you guys need to learn really strong boundaries. You can't just connect with just anyone and think that it's going to be a pleasant experience. But I also don't want you to move through life thinking that you need to feel defended. I want you to just go towards what's loving. And if it doesn't feel good, go the other direction. Unless you need to stop and say no. Or make a big, bold, commitment to yourself and say, I have a couple family members like that. I love them dearly. Actually, I have a few of them. But we don't talk about politics, right? I used to have, they're not alive anymore, but I used to have other family members who always said, I just said, well, let's just don't talk about religion because I don't believe the same things you do about God. I think that God is loving. I don't think that there's any reason to fear God. And then I would get all these lectures at me. And they would say I was crazy for even looking at astrology, and that's dark. You can't do that. And I'd say, okay, let's just agree to not agree, and I'm going to love you anyway, but let's don't talk about it anymore. So if you have family members or friends who refuse to honor that boundary that you set, then you don't need to go there anymore, because what you need to be doing is working on building your new life, which is what this aspect of the architect is affording. This aspect is in place all the way through, like I said, to May 23rd, for us to work on manifesting. In fact, I even set up a new course in my website. I'm working with my designer. It has to put the code in for me, but I have it all written up and set up in there. It might be up already. I don't know. I'm not sure if she's getting to it today, but anyway, for a manifestation course. So basically, we have until the 23rd, we have Saturn, the planet of manifesting, planet of creating form and structure in your life, that, would set the space for the next 30 years for you, right? And we have opportunities coming from Saturn to the Sun and to the North Node. So the North Node is your future, South Node is the past. And these nodes are somewhere in your chart operating very effectively. I just don't know where. And then later on, though, which is another reason I wanted to highlight Mercury and Uranus, because I see Mercury and Uranus together as being your connection to the divine mind, like lightning bolt aha moments. Claircognizance. Like, I'm not sure how your channels work, because everybody is psychic. Some people have the sight, which is clairvoyant, right? It's usually our sixth chakra. Some people hear, like I mostly hear, that's fifth chakra. Some people are that, like I was saying, claircognizant, which is your third chakra in your core, where they just have that direct knowing. And then some people are clairsentient, feeling, empath. That's the other thing that I do. And that's when all your chakras are working and open. But the first key to all of that is, it's so beautiful, to get really grounded. So we have the sun in Taurus with this spotlight shining the way for us, the path forward, which is nothing happens without your body. You cannot, I guess you could be psychic just in your head and just get something, but you might not know what to do with it. If it's not in your body and you don't get to experience it, it won't happen, right? You won't manifest it into your life. It might be guidance you get for someone else and you don't know how, but then maybe you won't tell them, right? That kind of thing. And so it's disconnected. So groundedness and open-heartedness are the keys to get everything going with, with your clairs. I'm cracking up, and I don't know if he listens to the astrology readings, but Wayne Rich, he said, question with the eclipses, something about, I can't remember the exact line, but it had to do with him. Oh, wait, hold on. I saved it, actually. I took a screenshot of it. Let me see what he wrote. It was hilarious. I think I saved it in here. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. He said, if you're more clairvoyant during an eclipse, would you be considered an eclair? Yeah. There we go. Okay. There's the joke for the day. Thank you, Wayne. Let's see. So what else? The sun opposing the south node. So moving towards, it's already conjunct, to the north node. Like I said, shining the light on our path to boldly go where you've never gone before. It's hooked up to the north node, but it's going to remain, even after it crosses over the north node, it's still going to remain in opposition to the south node through the whole week. And that brings in the ability to integrate. See, I never look at in a natal chart, I never look at the nodes as like you have to get away from the past and you got to go towards the future. Never, ever, ever. I always look at the polarities. It's about integrating the two. And, Taurus and Scorpio function very well together. The other polar opposites, but you have breakthroughs with trust and security issues and survival and bliss and, all the fun stuff you can have in a body. Like, we should be really celebrating the fact that we're here in a body and doing our best to take care of our bodies and loving our bodies, no matter what. No matter what. Like, we might not like everything we're experiencing, but we can still love ourselves through it. So the rest of this weekly overview, Mercury and Uranus will be sextiling Mars. See the two blue lines here? Will be sextiling Mars through Wednesday. So what that brings in are opportunities for, like I was saying before, those aha moments and getting inside of the divine mind. Divine order is within here as well, because Mercury will bring in the messages and Uranus will help you make the changes to go in the right direction at the right time. Like, you might just get some guidance to suddenly Google something that you thought of, or call someone, or text someone, or whatever, and they'll say, I was just thinking about you. And you were supposed to have a conversation, right? So yeah, that happened to me once already this week. And the only thing is I didn't stop and text her, but she texted me and she said, I've been thinking about you. And it's like, I was just thinking about you. So anyway, over to Mars. Mars is the action, to nurture something. So we're going to have lots of opportunities to nurture whatever direction you're wanting to go through Wednesday. So we want to take advantage of those, right? And then this Venus hooked up with the moon. Look how it's exact right there. I mean, within minutes apart, but Venus and the moon in Gemini. So there probably will be many conversations, ways of coming together to learn. There could be some teaching experiences that are going to be really wonderful. And good for kids too. With the moon, it's usually good for the family, good for kids. The moon is how we attach, it's a lot of things. I mean, sometimes it's the public, so we could have some news dumps coming in throughout the week. And that might especially be true because Chiron is also sextiling through Thursday. Chiron is also sextiling Venus here. You see how Venus, the moon will move pretty quickly, but Venus is slower, of course, and it's at 14 degrees. Chiron is at 16, so Venus still has to go a couple more degrees to be an exact sextile. So this is a building or applying sextile here from Chiron to Venus. So what is Chiron and Venus about? Well, Chiron is all about our deepest wounding, but also our greatest gifts when we get underneath the wounding. And then Venus is about unification. So we could have experiences, and especially on the feeling levels, whether it's working through an emotional reaction or just that pure feeling that's already been worked through, and now those avenues are open within your emotional body, which is in your physical body, right? Everything is in the body. Soul's in the body, spirit's in the body, it's all there. And so with that sextile to Venus all the way through Thursday, I have the feeling that many of you may have opportunities to heal relationship issues. For some experiences may come up to figure out like why you felt this way in the past, and then you're able to turn it around, because discovery is always key. We can't make changes until we connect the dots. What else? Yeah, so teaching with Chiron, because it's in Aries, it has to do with how much you need to know that you matter, how much you need to honor the fact that you're unique. You're very unique. You're a very, very unique individual. And it also might help to heal any impulsiveness or feeling abandonment. Maybe the fear of abandonment comes up. And because, of course, we've had the sun. Remember when we had that stellium, we had so many planets in Aries. And it was all this big lead up, of course, to the 29th, the nth degree of that that we just had yesterday. The total, the new moon solar eclipse, which new moon is always, on a solar eclipse, it's always a new moon solar eclipse. It's redundant, but you have to say both, because we're all used to knowing that new moons help us to set intentions. So we've had all this time to make all these new intentions, to create new intentions, and to make progress with Aries does want to constantly move forward, and with Jupiter involved, and conjunct Eris, look how tight, right? See that Jupiter is exactly conjunct, well, within a few minutes, 7 minutes, Eris. So there's more expansion on the creative front that has so much more courage to just be yourself. Absolutely just be yourself and be very present with yourself. And we're wanting to move forward more quickly than ever before. So Jupiter will continue to expand in those ways as it moves towards the North Node. And once it moves into Taurus, so now we're moving forward, but when it moves into Taurus, Taurian energy, which we're having with the North Node spin there for quite some time, because remember the nodes go backwards, so we've had those 29 degrees all the way back to 4, and the sun's moving this way, North Node's moving this way. They are going to remain together all week long, and we're in the realm with Taurus where we're staying faithful to ourselves, staying faithful to our principles. We're going to dig our heels in. The Taurus-Scorpio polarity can be very stubborn. It's fixed energy. But so figure out what your stand is. Take your stand and stay there and keep working it, right? Bring in the people that you trust. Be with the people that you trust. Stay away from drama. And just, everything will work out from there. And if you're finding places and ways that you might be addicted to drama, then it's a brilliant time. It's a great time to brilliantly dig in and figure out what that's all about. Because I'm sure that it's connected to, childhood or past life, right? Yeah. So, okay. I think this is it for the weekly overview. Notice that for today, for Sunday, the moon only has the aspect over here to Chiron and the sesquisquare to Pluto. So there's going to be some stubbornness in thinking with some people, so it might be a day to be more inwardly focused. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. So Monday, I highlighted here, Monday and Tuesday, we have a grand trine. Now, it's not a total grand water trine, but it will be soon. And it's moving toward, no, the moon is moving towards Mars. So the moon in the later degree of Gemini has helped us to learn something, to gather some new information, to question things. Like maybe we're questioning our false beliefs. Maybe we're questioning our dualistic, ways of moving through, or dualistic consciousness, I guess is a better way to say it. It's always like the either or consciousness rather than and. Like we can either be happy or unhappy. We can't be both, which is ludicrous because you think about it, it's like you can be really happy in 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 areas of your life and be unhappy in another one, and you're still fine, right? That life doesn't have to equal death, that there's both. There's a ego death. We go through many little ego deaths every day, right? And there's more life when we do that as well. We don't have to be winners or losers. We can create win-win situations, right? We don't have to think in terms of pleasure or pain. We can not avoid emotional pain anymore and find the pleasure in that. Well, that will come through because that will be you on your path doing what you needed to do from the get-go, and you're finally willing and courageous and settled enough to where you can feel all those feelings and know that you're not going to die just by feeling your feelings. As long as you're not going to hurt yourself or someone else, you're safe. And then we can be okay with being right or wrong. Or we don't need to be right. We'll be just fine when we're wrong. You're still going to be loved and accepted. And it is so much about acceptance, It's not about good or bad, or right or wrong, or pleasure or pain, all those other dualities. It's both. It's, in the tarot, I look at it as the temperance card, with the big cups going back and forth. It's like it's both. We can say yes to all the aspects of life. And that's what leads to our unity within. Right? So when we accept that life on Earth is dualistic, and that doesn't mean that we're not still perfect inside, then everything changes. Absolutely everything changes from there. So my hope, my prayer, my faith is that you guys can find that, and within this grand trine, we're learning things like that, and then when the moon moves into Cancer, then we are going to have a grand water trine that's hooked up to the past. Remember, we had it a little bit a couple weeks ago. Lasted for quite some time, I think. Or maybe it was last week. I don't know. You guys, I've looked at so many charts between last week and this week, and I already have charts printed out for next week, which I haven't looked at yet, but they're ready. So I sometimes I don't know where I am or which end is up, but or is it up or down, right or left? Where am I? So the trine to the south node will help us bring in the wisdom of the past and transform it even further and in really solid ways. This is our spiritual foundation that we're creating here with Saturn and Pisces. And again, it goes back to the past. And remember that sextile aspect of the architect with the sextiles here and the trine here is leading us into our future, right? And notice again, there's just in one day, look what happened in one day. The sun went from behind the north node to the other side of the north node. The north node's moving back. They're tighter and tighter together than ever before. Well, since recently. Year and a half or so. But anyway, but in this sign, Who knows how long it's been? That'd be a thing to look back and see, but it's just know that the most important thing is that the energy and consciousness is there, and this is true all the time, but it's really amplified right now. The energy and consciousness is there for you to firmly plant both feet on your path, blaze your own trail, and move forward, and manifest to your heart's desires. And then with Chiron here, it's now involved, so we have, let's say, yeah, okay, there's a couple of things going on here. So Chiron here is sextile Venus. I did speak to that already. And the Mercury-Uranus connection to Mars is what's important for today. Yeah, 15, right. See how Mars is at 15 degrees Cancer. So wherever this is landing in your chart, you've got more energy and life is going to be moving forward for you, but you have to do the work, of course, right? And it's growth-oriented work to create more security. It's creating sacred space in your home. It's being your domestic god or goddess of your home. And then with the two sextiles over to Mercury and Uranus, I'm thinking that guidance will come in as you move forward. It can be something as simple as, or just, use this as a metaphor. Like you decide you're going to go out for a walk, but you're not sure yet until you get out the door which way you're going to go, because you do have a few different options, right? And once you're walking, one foot in front of the other, you decide, oh, I'll go this way. And then you're going that way, and you notice something else, and I think I'll go down that street. Or if you're out in the forest, it's like, oh, that tree looks really beautiful over there. I want to go hang out with it for a while. Or if you're, whatever you're doing, grocery shopping even, it's like, oh, I'm going to go down that aisle instead of, you're just instinctively moving forward is what I'm getting. With the divine order that's perfect for you. So that is really strongly in effect Monday and Tuesday. So just to remember that. And as the moon starts hooking up with Mars, that will be even more connected that way too. Let's see, yeah, and the moon, yeah, within that grand trine there. That is really cool. Okay, so the moon, if I were to just let go of the grand water trine, I would say the moon trining Saturn will help you on your spiritual path, but also to question anything that you want to break free from, because just think of Pisces energy as something that opens up in a way that there aren't the strong, harsh boundaries, that the limitations aren't there. Now, Saturn has limitations, but it's because of what we've built in the past. And if you're wanting to break anything down, the new ideas, if you're wanting to break down the walls from the past, maybe you've discovered there's some walls around your heart and you want a relationship, but you can't have that until you break through the walls. Or maybe you can, but it won't be a relationship that you stay in for a long time, and they just help you with the walls. Or help you understand that there is a wall there, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But it can be anything. It can be walls to abundance. It could be the fear of success. It can be whatever it is, right? The fear of the work, It can be whatever it is for you, and there's no judgment whatsoever. But when it comes to Pisces energy, just think of unlimited possibilities. Think of thinking again. Like, you thought it was this way. Well, no, what if I look over this way? Or this is what I've always done, so it's the way it is. But maybe it doesn't have to be anymore. Maybe there's a brand new way. And you don't have to know what it is. You just have to be willing to be open. It's Saturn in Pisces is about besides creating strong, healthy boundaries for empaths, it's also the willingness to open in new ways to create a new foundation. Just think of Saturn as being your new foundation of success, and then add in all things spiritual, all things artistic, all things mystical, all things anything you'd want to devote yourself to. Now, the only way you can get in trouble with this is if you go join a cult, or it could be challenging for immigration. It could be challenging for refugees, and so maybe that's a place you would donate to help, support. Saturn in Pisces can bring in some limitations around immigration, because I often see Pisces as being immigration. And then the other, oops, I didn't put that in. Maybe it's better to just do it this way. Neptune squaring the moon this morning. 26, yeah, and it's exact too. Yeah, so that'll be an orb. That would have been an orb during dream time as well. So maybe there's some dreamtime information, right? Because think of Gemini as being information, teaching, learning, curiosity, all that. Neptune, especially in Pisces, can be about dreamtime. So the square can bring in a little tension field in the morning. I would set the intention ahead of time, Sunday night, to capture whatever information you need from dreamtime. You can decide that you want to learn something in dreamtime, and it works. So, okay, let's keep going there to Tuesday. Get this straight here. There, that's all in frame. Okay. So Tuesday, here's where you can see the moon is, and it began, during the middle of the night. Well, it began before, actually, for that whole day, but it really, moved into the moon has moved into Cancer in the middle of the night, or maybe even later in the day. Let me see, what was the degree here? 26? Yeah, could have been late evening. So it's a good night. So Monday night could be a good night for deciding what you want to grow in your life. Cancer energy is all about growth. It's all about protection. It can help us relate to the past. It's all about family. It's usually anything to do with our home, our moms, our mothering, our nurturing, our emotional security. And moving towards Mars, the moon and Mars together, this could bring in that more movement of all of those things. It might be a little, if you have any relationships with somebody that's kind of clingy, you might have a little bit of that, or a little bit of moodiness. But just know that moods change. You can take a deep breath and shift reality. And if something's coming in from the past, the moon will help illuminate something that you can respond to in a different way if you need to. It can also be really good for changing eating habits. It can be excellent for creating an altar or a vision board in your home of anything that you want to grow, or having little touchstones even in your car, like a crystal or something in your somewhere in your car. I don't recommend putting heavy objects or even gluing them down. I had a friend that used to glue, Buddhist art and little heavy things on her dashboard, and you have a rear end or any other awful situation, and those things can come off and hit you in the head. So I don't recommend anything like that, or even hanging off of the mirror. It's like, no, don't do that. But maybe something small or lightweight, maybe a bracelet with beads, right, that reminds you, oh yeah, with certain colors, this is what I want to work on. This is what I'm bringing in. Something like that. But little touchstones, little talismans, little I use tarot cards. I put tarot cards on my altar all the time. But whatever it is, what your particular thing is, use it, because it needs to be very, remember back to all the Aries energy, it needs to be very personal to you. And especially after that, that eclipse that we just had. So let's see. We have today, all day, the Grand Water Trine. So I've covered that. We also have 2 sextiles. Yeah, this is the Mercury and Uranus, and that's even stronger. Well, Mars is, well, no, because Mercury's going back. Yeah, this is here for a little bit. It's the moon that will move out of orb. So let's go ahead and move forward. I'm loving this Sun and North Node in Taurus, though. It was a little too much with everything in Aries, wasn't it? I mean, there was just so much to handle. There's tons of energy. Okay, so now today, so Wednesday morning, we have the moon still in Cancer, but it has moved to the other side of Mars. And for the morning, so remember we still have Chiron with the sextile to Venus. I think all week. Did I say all week with that one? I forget. But I've already covered that. And when it comes to the aspects to the moon today, we have this one little stubborn one. I'm not going to worry about that. But these 3 squares to the moon, this is important. So Chiron, Eris, and Jupiter are all squaring the moon. The moon's at 21. So this was building. So between Tuesday and Wednesday morning, this has been a building square, so there could have been quite a little bit of a tension field building. And now that the moon is starting to move, it's still squaring Jupiter. And this is cardinal energy. So yeah, there is building that is happening. Because remember, this aspect of the architect is all about building something. Something from the past that you decided you're going for now. And all the opportunities are there. And Mercury and Uranus are still within orb of each other and still sextiling Mars beautifully right here. So this is wonderful. So this is such a go for it week, seriously. If there are any fears coming up, because Cancer wants to be safe and secure. So if you're feeling, if you're worrying, Cancer and Virgo can be so famous for just worry warts. There are some things you can do with that. If you find yourself becoming a worrywart, just do what one of my clients taught me when we were working out one day. She said, you know what? I realized if I'm worrying, I'm not working hard enough. And for me, she spoke like wisdom and this was like 30 years ago, so I'm still remembering it. It taught me that, and it's true because I've experienced that, when I'm laying around and not doing what I should do, and I'm thinking or distracting myself is more like it in other ways, not thinking properly, then I have something nagging me. So if you have something nagging you, it's only energy, but it's coming from your core that is wanting you to use your power in a new way. Use your life force. When I say power, I think life force as well. And notice, these 4 squares coming off of Pluto up here and that connection to the past. There is something from the past that you're good at, that you're so good at, that you can use that same life force in a whole brand new way. And everything is lined up to support you in that. So if you're feeling afraid, just do it anyway. Just try it. You can always change. You can always change it if it's not working out. You can always change it up if it's not working the way you want. Or you could develop it in a different way, whatever it is. So the moon is also trining Neptune. It's at 21 degrees Cancer. The moon is at 21 degrees Cancer. Neptune's at 26, so all day long. This is a building trine here. So there is a nice flow of all kinds of spiritual support. So yeah, I would say feel the fear, do it anyway. You know, unless it's something like jumping off a cliff. You know, there's healthy fear and there's unhealthy fear. Okay. All right, so Thursday comes along and the moon's in Leo. Things are a little trickier today because we have this opposition to Pluto. But that was building up in the wee hours of the morning as well. So, but notice with that other building energy around possibly worrying and just thinking, I gotta be safe or whatever, maybe now with the moon in Leo, we have that courage that we're looking for. We've been establishing and learning healthy boundaries with Saturn in Pisces. And, you know, we have this happening until, my goodness, I think it's September 2025. And then I remember I remember the date because it was a family member's birthday. So February 13th, it moves into Aries, but not till 2026. So it's almost 3 years. And usually Saturn moves through a sign in 2.5 years. But we get more Saturn in Pisces this time, which is good. Won't happen again for another 30 years, 28 years, 29. I don't know. I don't know if I'll even be alive by then. So anyway, we have the quincunx here to the moon. So there is an emotional adjustment, and I think that it is coming from the heart and your spirit helping you, and it's helping you to have more courage. But with the square, see how the moon's in this T-square here to the nodes? We've got a T-square coming from Pluto and the moon. This happened last month, I remember, because anytime, while Pluto's in Aquarius, every month at some point, the moon's going to square it, you know, oppose it, square it again, and then come around and conjunct it, right? That's just the way it works with the moon. So no worries, because the moon it changes. But it's good to, when it's in Leo, it's good to allow yourself to have more courage. Allow yourself to express yourself. Allow yourself to have more self-confidence. Have fun and play. Leo energy is very playful. So is Cancer. If you're having any trouble, and you could because of the squares and the opposition here, if you're having trouble, I'm thinking it's probably in the realm of not being recognized. Somebody discounting you. But just know that it's usually not done on purpose. It's usually just that the person was either overwhelmed with information. Now, if somebody is purposely discounting you and blowing you off, you know, that's on them. That's never on you. Or maybe it is because maybe you were pushing. Right? If you were pushing, because Leo, you know, Leo is great for getting attention. That energy is great for getting attention and saying what you need to say and putting yourself out there. And so if you're having any trouble with that, you know, you just work with it. It's only energy, right? It's only energy, so you can always transform it. But yeah, it feels like in relationship, there might be some action that's needed. So it might be a great day to have a talk with somebody that you need to, because maybe you've discovered something within and you want to share it with someone. And it can help you move forward, right? Because it is squaring the nodes. The sun is involved, and it's an applying square to the sun at 7 degrees Taurus. And it's connecting up to the past. So the wisdom of the past, maybe there's a breakthrough with this opposition to Pluto. Maybe there's a breakthrough to a fear of intimacy. or to understanding what real intimacy is, which is, sharing your feelings and your mind and all of you, rather than doesn't just mean sex at all, right? Maybe maybe someone shares a secret with you and it helps you to open your heart, and then there's more of a powerful exchange of energy between your heart. It's no matter what day it is, it's always a great day for meditation, but especially so when we have this trine coming off of Neptune there. Could be a great day for heart-centered meditations, which is the only way I like to meditate anyway, is, well, first I get in my body really strongly, and then open your heart, and then, you open your heart more. And when I say open your heart, you can't make your heart open, you just intend. And then if you have trouble, think of something that you love. And then think of loving yourself when you were a little kid and all the stuff you've had to go through. And how would you have handled that kid if it was you? I mean, if you were both. And you can reparent yourself every day of the week. Now, the moon is also in conjunct quincunx to Saturn. So again, there might be some adjustments that come through with, maybe it has to do with timing. Maybe there's somebody that you want to, that's what this whole thing could be, this whole conglomeration of squares and the inconjunct and the sesquisquare there. It could definitely be that you want to talk to someone and they can't talk to you yet and you're having to wait. It could just be that patience is needed and you're going to be just fine, but there's energy that wants to be released, and finding a healthy outlet for it might be the key. Well, it would be always, but so it might be the time for going for a walk or meditation or doing something else while you're waiting for someone else to be ready for you in whatever way that is. Okay, so Friday, the moon's still in Leo, you can see. It's now, so that we don't have the trine to Neptune anymore, but we do have a trine to Chiron. So there's a nice flow of energy, and it's a building trine. It's been happening for the last day. They're coming in, to a tighter orb. Within a few short hours, it'll be an exact trine. And again, trines are always usually a nice harmonious flying, a nice harmonious flow of energy. But because we have so much energy here in Aries, and these are both fire signs, right? It could feel more powerful. It could feel like less. It could feel more like a powerful connection and not so much of a flow, right? It could be strong. It could be passionate. So I don't know what that's going to be for you guys, but it's definitely a day for passionate conversations, passionately working towards whatever you're trying to manifest. Yeah, and especially with Mars squaring Chiron, because that's an orb and that is exact. So the Mars squaring Chiron will be challenging if you're not moving on your path or moving towards what you want. Mars always motivates us. And in Cancer, it will be for more security. It will be for more emotional satisfaction, doing what you love and the money will follow, that kind of thing. There's a great book by Marcia Sinitar, by the way. Doing things that make your heart sing, I see here with all of these. And, when you do that, you will give it your all because it's something you love, and you can kind of lose yourself with, when it comes to time and space, and you have to keep an eye on clocks sometimes. But yeah, that could happen. What an awesome Friday. Let's see what Saturday looks like. The moon's still in Leo, but about to move into Virgo. We have a triple trine. Wow. So it's going to the North Node, to Jupiter, and to Eris here. So a lot of creative, powerful energy. Wow. And of course, as the moon moves into Virgo, it'll be a stronger trine over to the North Node. And then eventually the moon trine Sun as well will happen. That'll probably be like next Sunday, 30th or something like that, or into May 1st even. But so for today, though, a late degree Leo moon like this, first thing in the morning, I would think you probably are going to be up early. And there might be that need to make some adjustments to your schedule for the day, because maybe something came through dream time that was very inspiring, and you're really wanting to do whatever you were inspired by. That sounds wonderful. Let's see. Neptune has some semi-squares here. Yeah, so it's what I just said, actually. There's inspiration coming through from some levels, or there's some need to respond to something Saturday morning. And there will be the action taken or needed to be taken in order to create more divine order in your life, or get on your path to having what you want. Your path to fulfillment, I guess, is a better way to say it. And then you can see that Neptune is squaring Venus. So there might be some challenges in maybe it has to do with somebody that you're trying to work something out with, and you're needing to learn something from them, or it could be something you learn in relationship that helps you feel more spiritually connected to them once you work it through. And it might be that it doesn't have anything to do with another person, but it's you on your path, and you've learned enough to know, oh, this is the way I need to go. And this is my life task. Your life purpose and your life task are so connected. Your life task is always going to be to heal your soul split. And your soul split is it's the place, it's your psyche soul that has separated from your spirit. And it's just a little piece. And in that piece, because your spirit is vast, right? I mean, it's just so big, but we each, incarnate these little soul splits that have false beliefs, wrong conclusions, a judgment based on something that we did or something that we experienced in a past life, and we're needing to heal it in this lifetime. And it's always something like, I don't matter, I'm not good enough, I'm too much. I'm just not acceptable, something like that. I'm ruined. My body's ruined. So I've heard the craziest things, and wouldn't make sense when you look at a person. You would never expect that that's how they felt about themselves. But then, when you get inside of it, that's how you turn it around, because it's actually the opposite of the truth. That's why I call it a soul split. So that's our work. That's our deeper work, is to heal these soul splits, and then our spirit can shine through freely. So I think that's it. Oh, no, it's not. The moon is opposing Saturn. So, yeah, Saturn can be a lot about life lessons. And the moon in a later degree, Leo, can help break through those walls of the past, right? Breaking out of paradigms. Now, when it comes to, that's all I'm seeing personally, but when it comes to this whole week, looking at all these charts, I have to summarize by saying, on the political level, we can expect even more news dumps and information coming out that will create more security eventually. But we're still in that process of revealing the darkness that was always there, right? There's nothing new. Like, all that stuff that Clarence Thomas was doing with Harlan Crow, all of those favors and perks, that was happening for years and years and years, and now it's all coming out. So again, learning more information, more news dumps, and that Mercury, Uranus, we may be shocked, politically, or some people will be. The rest of us will be like, oh, yeah, I knew that was coming. I'm seeing an arrow here to Mercury, and then the Sun to Venus, and the Sun back to the past. And the square, look at that. If I just color all this in, right there. Here's what's going to be happening politically, I'm thinking. By the end of the week, by Saturday the 29th, something new is going to be coming through. Something. From the past, from the dirty deeds done dirt cheap, or actually, dirty deeds taken at great price, great cost to the taxpayers. And the light is shining on that. And it can be shocking information and financial information, because we're talking Taurus. Somebody who was so the dark side of Taurus can be that somebody's very greedy. The dark side of Scorpio is that they'll be violent to get what they want. So there could be something dark that comes out about the NRA again. I mean, it's how bad can it get to already know, to have it already be determined by a bipartisan Senate Intel committee in 2019 that they were a foreign asset. Why that's not out on the news, I don't know. But maybe it will be by the end of the week. Wouldn't that be nice? Venus wants to protect children. Mars in Cancer wants to protect children. The moon in Leo would be an open-hearted flow of energy to courageously protect and defend, right? Because we've got to remember, most of all, primarily, Taurus wants safety and security. So if these people think that they need, anyone can own a gun, but it doesn't need to be an assault rifle. If we don't have those safeguards put in place, our children aren't safe. So maybe there's more support coming out in the news about that. Maybe there's somebody who's stepping forward in a very big way and helping, supporting the cause. That may very well be the thing that happens while we're having this journey of Mars through Cancer, because Cancer is about the family and the children, and Mars wants something, right? Basically, what do we want? What do we want to grow? I want children to be safe. I want teachers to be safe. So anyway, I'm going to get off my little soapbox here and get this uploaded. Send you big hugs. Sorry this went a little longer today, but there was a lot of soul information coming through. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing well and having the best week. Okay, take good care. Bye.